Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. Now check this out. The robbery came off without a hitch. I'm talking about smooth sailing. Other than what happened to Jason. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what happened. He got arrested. Jason got locked up, but he made bond. He had some money put away, you know what I'm saying? So he was able to make bond and get out. Now the streets are talking. He's hearing about what was going on with the robbery. He's hearing about these two people that just got out of the penitentiary that robbed him. But he don't know who they are. He has no idea that Melissa, his ex, that's working at the prison, that's a CO, that's messing with his charge partner, the one that he testified against. He has no idea that they're behind this. He has no clue. But he's feeling weird because now he's facing real penitentiary time because they found a lot of dope in the house. He's facing some time. He don't know what to do. But he's still trying to figure out what's going on. So there's only one person that he can call and even confide in, so he thinks anyway, because he's still twisted up in the head, right? So he calls Melissa and he asks, does she have some time to talk? And she said, of course. She's playing her role. She's still thinking, you know what I'm saying, that I got to make him believe that I care somewhat. She don't want him to get suspicious, even though he has no clue that her and Corey were behind the robbery. So he starts to talk to her and he tells her that he's afraid of what might happen to him if he goes to prison because he's already testified against somebody. She knows this. So she tells him, look, I work at the prison. And a lot of times when people get in situations like that, they go to protective custody. She's telling him what it is. He's asking a lot of questions about what that's like and how do they treat him and all this and that. And she's telling him the real. And it doesn't sound good. But she's telling him that if you go to protective custody, at least you'll live. Because if you come on the compound and something were to happen, she said the officers can't guarantee your safety. They can't. They usually get there after the damage is done. So he's afraid. He's getting scared. And he's telling her that he can't do this. He can't do this. And she starts to feel bad for him. But at the end of the day, she reminds herself of what he did to her. How he cheated on her after she stayed with him, after he testified against his own best friend. She reminds herself that this dude doesn't deserve her pity. She convinces herself of that. And she thinks about all the things that she's going to be able to do with Corey once he gets out, hoping that this lawyer can make things better for him. But if not, she was willing to ride. It wasn't but a few more years before Corey would be going up for parole and his institutional record was spotless. He hadn't been in any trouble. But Jason was getting antsy. And he was trying to figure out what was going on. He's crashing. He gets in touch with his plug so he can get back and get his money back. So he's out there balling out of control, right? He's reckless. But what he doesn't understand is the police are watching every move he makes now. And let me tell you something. When you're out on bond, if you get caught up with another case when you're out on bond, I don't know if any of y'all know this, right? But if you get caught on bond doing something else, whatever that charge is, that time is ran consecutive. You got to finish one and start the other one. But he doesn't realize it, so he's balling out of control. He's balling out of control. Now, remember the two guys that helped Corey rob the place? He don't know who they are, but they know who he is. So he runs into them because they the new kids on the block now. You know what I'm saying? They got a little money, so they bought them a little dope, and plus the dope that they got from him, they got in the game. But then he runs into them because he sees them, they shaking, they getting rid of this stuff. So he tells me, look, I got that plug. I can put you in a position where you'll be super duper straight. You feel me? So they develop a relationship and they start kicking and whatnot. And he finds out that they've been locked up. They've been in the penitentiary. Now, don't forget, they know all about him. He don't know anything about them, though. So he's listening to everything that they say about the penitentiary and how it is and this and that. But he don't know these are the individuals that robbed him. They're filling his head full of what's real, but they don't give a damn about him. They're just letting him know it ain't no joke up in there. And you can't trust nobody. Listen to me now. The two people that robbed him are telling him you can't trust nobody. in this game. And that's what I want you to understand about this criminal lifestyle, those of you that are listening to my show. It gets really, really twisted. So he's sitting there, he's talking to them, and he starts to think, man, they straight. They cool, they good people. He still don't get it. They telling me what's real. He still don't understand. He's looking at the devil. He's staring the devil in his face. He don't even get it. So long story short, and a short story long, he's thinking these are two dudes that he can trust. So he tells him, he says, look here, check this out. I can make sure that you straight. I can make sure that you straight if you can make sure that I'm straight. Y'all still know people in the penitentiary? They were like, yeah, we stay in touch with the guys. So he's saying, man, can y'all make sure that I'm straight when I go in there? They was like, what do you mean? Break it down. So he starts to break it down. He tells them, listen to me now, these two street dudes, the two dudes that robbed him, and he said, can I tell you something? They said, yeah, come on with it. Don't forget they already know. So he said, man, look, I had some trouble back in the day. Got caught up on a case, me and my charge partner. And it was either me or him. He was finna do it to me, so I did it to him first. Now, they know he's lying, but they understand he got to put a little sugar on it, make it seem like it wasn't so bad, that he was a snitch. They understand that. So he breaks this story down and tells them about his charge partner. They said, what's his name? He tells them Corey's name, but they were like, nah, I ain't never heard of him. But they know who it is. This is who put him up on the robbery. That's their dude. You feel me? So now they're listening to him run down this story to try to make himself look so good that they'll mess with him. And they said, look here, I'm going to tell you what. This is what you do. If you end up going to the penitentiary, we're going to make sure you straight. But you got to give us something in return for that. Remember what I told you, ain't nobody in the streets doing nothing for nothing. It's always going to cost you something. Ain't nobody doing it like that. Everybody talk about, you know what I'm saying, people sticking together and all this and that, people in the streets. That's a lie. They ain't sticking together like that. They make it seem that way. But if it's not going to benefit them, they're not going to do it. So they tell him, look, make it make sense to me. Make it worth my while. We got you. So he starts to tell them about the plug that he's got and the money that he's made and all of these. And that fascinates them none. At the end of the day, what is that going to do for me? And see, he said, I can put you on. So they look at him, you can put us on, right? He's like, yeah, one phone call and I can put you on. So they tell him, make the call. Make the call. He said, no, let's see what happens in court first. If I end up going, I got you. But y'all got to make sure that I'm straight when I get in there. They said, if you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to be straight. You're going to be straight. So check this out. They get at Melissa. They tell Melissa to tell Corey to call them. Corey gets the message from Melissa. So he calls these guys, right? He's talking to his two dudes. They giving him the full rundown of what Jason is talking about, right? All three of them, they laughing. Ha, 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 ha. This sucker. He don't even know. You feel me? Again, let me point out to y'all that's listening to the show. That's how the streets are. It's grimy. It's grimy. Jason is a coward. And they smell it. It's like blood in the water. They smell it. But he don't have no clue. All of y'all out there that think you about that life, I'm telling you now, this is how grimy it gets. A person could be staring you in your face and ready to stab you in your back as soon as you turn your back. You understand? So they're talking about him and all this and that, right? Because they have no intentions. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. They have no intentions of making sure that Jason is going to be straight when he get up in that penitentiary. Period. And he's going. Because his trial date is coming up soon. This fool is going to fade these folks in that courtroom. They offered him a plea, take low and go when they give it to you. I'm telling you now, when you know you're guilty of something, take low and go. But he didn't want to hear that. He's trying to fight it out. He's got one of the best lawyers in the city. I don't care who you get. I don't care who you got. When the police got the evidence, it is what it is. They might be able to work out something, but if you don't want to accept that, then you got to roll the dice. You got to roll the dice. 12 in the box, 1 in the stands. That's the judge, y'all. It's going down. So he go to trial. They find him guilty in less than an hour. Boom, knock him off. He got 25 coming. Now he's spooked. But somehow or another, he had a good lawyer, like I said. This lawyer arranged it with the judge so that let him take care of his business, let him wrap up his affairs at home, and then we're going to go on and turn ourselves in and blah, blah, blah. They don't do that, man. Now, the feds might do that. State don't do that. They usually take you straight into custody. But the lawyer has some class, so they let him get his affairs in order. So now he's talking to dude and them. They said, look, let it do what it do, man. Make the call. He said, man, y'all got me. They tell him, yeah, we got you. Word is bond. All that old type bullshit. Put it on everything. They put it on their kids. They put it on their mama. That don't mean nothing in the streets. That just sound good, man. Put it on a t-shirt. Put it on a bumper sticker. You know what I'm saying? So he make the call. They talking to the plug. Now, this is major stuff here, right? Major. Anything they want, any amount they want, they're in now. Keep in mind, these are the same two dudes that robbed him because Corey put him on it. Right. Yeah, Corey, his charge partner, the one he testified against. They getting him. They breaking him off. Now they got the plug. He goes see his lawyer, turn himself in. He on his way to the penitentiary. He got to get processed in. It takes a minute. It takes anywhere from a month to 3 months before you get processed in and you find yourself on a compound, right? He got their number. They called him. He called him and they're talking to him, right? But while he's talking to him, he gets the information that they get to telling him what is going on, right? So now, all of a sudden, he starts to feel like, they're not sounding right. They're not making sense of the situation, right? I thought they had me. That's what he was saying. And they kept telling him, we got you, we got you. So in the way, he ends up at the same prison that Corey's at. So when Corey sees him, he walks up on him and he embraces him. So what's going on, man? Now listen to me. Him and Corey grew up together. But Corey's been in the penitentiary for a while. Plus, this is who he testified against. For whatever reason, Corey didn't have an incompatible against him. And an incompatible is basically this, y'all. If you got an incompatible against somebody, several reasons and ways an incompatible can be put on somebody, but they didn't have an incompatible. Incompatible meaning these two individuals cannot be around each other because it might cause a problem. For whatever reason, somebody testified against each other, somebody assaulted the other, whatever, testified against a family member, a whole lot of different reasons, right? But they never put an incompatible on Corey and Jason. Ever. You know what I'm saying? And that may be because when Corey came in the system, Jason wasn't in the system, and it was years later before Jason ended up in the system, and nobody asked the question. Nobody asked the question when he was being processed in. So now they're on the same compound. Corey's looking at him every day, knowing that he's had him robbed, but he also remembers how Jason testified against him. And now, on top of that, Jason's baby mama, Melissa, is working at the prison, but she's seeing Corey now. Did you hear what I just said? Jason, that testified against Corey, has a baby by Melissa, and Melissa is seeing Corey. And Melissa and Corey were behind Jason getting robbed. Keep up with me now, y'all. Keep up with me. So now, Melissa comes to work. See, it's nowhere in her record that Jason is the father of her son. But she sees him on the compound. Guess what she does? She walks up to him. She tells him, look, do you want to go into protective custody? Or do you want to go to another prison? Because we can't be at the same prison. And he tells her, don't do this to me. So she says, you need to think about what you want. Listen to me now, because it's finna get grimy. I'm telling you that. It's finna get real grimy. It's finna get real grimy. So now, she goes into the pod. She's sitting at her desk. Corey goes down there. He's sitting at the desk, right? By now, it's pretty much understood that this is Corey's girl. You know what I'm saying? They playing footsies and touching each other on the hand, little stuff like that. And Jason is seeing this. And all of a sudden, a light bulb goes off in his head like, wait a minute. Corey, Melissa. Melissa called. I took her out. The same night I took her out, I get robbed. He couldn't figure out how the police ended up there, you know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't have planned that. But the neighbor is the one that called the police. It's starting to dawn on him. And then he thinks about what the police said. It was two people that were in the house that robbed him. Two people. And he's made friends with these two individuals on the town. That part didn't make sense to him. But he kept thinking, the night I got robbed is the night that I took Melissa out. Could it be? Could it be? And he said, and he thought about it. He thought about it hard. And he said it could be. He thought about he's the one that testified against Corey and put him away for 30 plus years. His girlfriend, a baby mama, you know what I'm saying, whatever you want to call her, ended up working at the prison with Corey. And then for months, she rejected every call he made to her. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, she calls him, he takes her out, and he gets robbed. He said they had to know. They had to be behind it. So now he wants his lick back. But they're way ahead of him. See, what Jason was playing checkers. Melissa and Corey had been playing chess. And that's what I wanted to emphasize in this story to a lot of y'all out there. The game is about chess, not checkers. If you don't calculate every gritty and grimy step in the game, you're going to lose. And the truth of the matter is, there's no way that you can do that. You never know who you're dealing with in the game. You never know. Everybody's grimy. Everybody's out for something. And everybody loses. That's the part that you need to understand. Even Melissa and Corey, if they continue to do what they do, living the way they're living, they're going to lose. And what do I mean by that? By them keeping the door open to breaking the rules to solve their problems, that's always going to be an option for them. If they continue to do that, they're going to eventually fall. Think about that. But let me get back to the story. Melissa, knowing eventually or believing eventually that Jason is going to figure this out, she goes to the warden. She tells the warden, I have a problem. The warden always open to his employees. You understand what I'm saying? He ain't going to play about his employees. She tell him, look, there's a guy here that I was in a relationship with when I was in high school. And I have a baby by him, a child. The warden said, what's his name? She gives him Jason's name. Within minutes, I ain't say days, I said within minutes, they had him in handcuffs, put in the back, preparing to be shipped. And she wasn't going to have to deal with him ever again. And then they shipped him to the worst penitentiary in the state. She didn't care what happened to him, nor did Corey, because of what he did. But Jason made his own bed. Ain't no sympathy in this thing, y'all. Ain't no sympathy in it. So Jason ends up getting shipped. Melissa and Corey end up still at the same prison together. She's a CO. He's an inmate, doing their thing. Jason not understanding how the system works. Doesn't understand any of the things that are going on. And that's what happens to people. You come into this thing green, not knowing, no friends, already labeled a rat. Ain't nobody listening to you. Ain't nobody providing you no help. Everybody's trying to take from you. Everything you got, they want it. He's lost his plug on the town to the two people that robbed him. He don't even know that they robbed him. He's lost his girl because he played a coward role by testifying against his charge partner, his friend, the person he grew up with. And he's lost all his money. Lost all his money. And now his daughter that he has by Melissa, little Robbie, she won't even get to know her father. So you tell me, is anything about this lifestyle worth it? I think not. I think not. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.